have an impending Matatu strike, and there was a threat that Matatus were actually going to go on strike, and this is after the rules or traffic rules that had been given before were to be enforced today. And the pictures that you can see are Kenyans on Thika Road, basically using what we'd call Route 11 as Matatus possibly have made true their threat to be on strike. Again, it might be a question of whether they actually did make true their threat, or they were not compliant, and as a result, to ensure that they are not on the wrong side of the law, have decided to keep off the road. So you can see residents on Thika Road, Nairobi, basically making their way to work on foot. This is as a result of lack of public transport. Remember, the CS for Interior, Dr. Matiang'i, did make it very clear that there would be zero tolerance. In fact, he had advised that the law enforcers to deal with them with brutal force, were his words. So it looks like this may have already started happening. From 6 a.m. today, they were to implement these laws and ensure that anybody that does not comply is not spared the wrath of the law. That includes those who are going to be commuters and users of the Matatus, and this is by virtue of the fact that if, for example, you do not have your seatbelt on, then it would not just be the fault of the Matatu operator or the conductor, but you also as a passenger. If you got into a Matatu that does not have the seatbelts, for example, you would be arrested. Do we have Matatus that are complying well? It looks like public transport is basically on grounded to a halt, but we do have some Matatus that are operational. That is or rather, these are live images on Thika Road, where we can see that there is largely a huge problem with public transport, with residents not able to make their way into the city, as you can see. We also do have some private vehicles that maybe are taking advantage of this. Whether the enforcers are also going to deal with them remains to be seen. Of course, there is also a crunch. So the few that are able to comply are now taking advantage of that. As you can see, it is a struggle to even get into one. This, of course, has other effects that it may have. For instance, in that particular crowd, one might be careful not to have your pockets pilfered. As you can see, it is squeezing to try and get in. But the other question is also the question of price. Will Matatus also overcharge? Because there are going to be very few that are going to be plying those roads. And also, chances are roads are likely to be clearer than the usual. So we'll keep tabs on the costs and how much it is, possibly for those routes that they have. So whether they're going to be taking advantage or not is something that remains to be seen. Will the enforcers also ensure that people are not ripped off? Because we do know that Matatus have a tendency to hike their prices with no warning whatsoever, especially when they deem a time where they can take advantage. Normally, when there's traffic and it rains, their prices go up, but this could be another chance for them to do that based on the fact that there is likely to be very few Matatus. One, because they have gone on strike, and two, because there are those who possibly may not be able to comply and are not able to come to the roads, knowing that they will definitely not make it through the day. Maybe those are people negotiating prices, as we can see, because I'm sure the prices are likely not to be the same. And sometimes they double, they could triple, but there you go. We shall find out as we go along. So the images that we have are live images on Thika Road of Kenyans basically waking up to a day where there is no transport, as the law enforcers had made it very clear that today is D-Day. From 6 a.m. today, they were going to enforce them with no mercy whatsoever to the Matatu operators and to anybody who will board a Matatu that is not compliant, whereas they know that that was going to happen. So it looks like that is the situation on Thika Road as we speak. All right, so this might be a good time if you own a bicycle, or if you have a bicycle, this might be a good time to get it out, get the dust off, and it might be an efficient mode of transport. But there you go. We'll keep tabs on what's